and welcome to my thoughts while standing in the queue. Not long ago, a 5-year-old child was fined 150 pounds by her local council for setting up a lemonade stand for trading without a permit. That breaks my heart. I tried the very same thing many years ago, and no one fined me. In fact, I got quite a few hugs out of it, and I got to pet a collie. When I was 9 years old in Toledo, Ohio, my cousin Jessica and I destroyed my mama's kitchen, making our very own lemonade to sell for a penny a glass in front of our house on Burkhead Place. This was the summer of 1942, when World War II was beginning and everyone was depressed and sad. Jessica and I decided we would cheer up people walking by if we sold them some ice-cold lemonade to refresh themselves in the summer heat, because Toledo's summers were absolutely like ovens. Then they'll forget all about Pearl Harbor, I said. What's Pearl Harbor? Asked Jessica. My mother cut the lemons for us because we were too little to handle knives. I was in charge of making the juice. I squeezed the lemons on a hand squeezer because we didn't have those fancy electric ones people use now. I addressed this task with great vigor and enthusiasm because I wanted to make lots of people forget about the war, and I wanted to have some money to buy an ice cream cone at my Uncle Harry's drugstore. As I worked, I spattered the sink, the floor, my hair, and most of Jessica, who screamed when the juice hit her eye. That hurt, she said. I informed her that we have to make sacrifices if we want to earn money. Selling isn't easy, I told my 5-year-old cousin. You have to create a great product. What's a product? Asked Jessica, wiping her eyes with a dish towel. What we're trying to sell, I told her. Now start stirring. I poured the juice into a big pitcher, and my mother gave us 1 cup of her sugar ration to mix with the water to make our beverage. I can't reach the counter, said Jessica. Well, stand on a chair, I said. You have to be willing to put forth great extra effort if you're selling something. My mother, who was supervising this operation, dumped ice cubes in our pitcher and set it on the table so Jessica could reach it. Sometimes you have to make allowances for physical limitations, Lynn Ruth, she said. Now, I'll carry out the table and chairs. Jessica, can you carry out those paper cups? And Lynn Ruth, you carry the pitcher. Try not to spill it on your shoes. They're brand new. We had dressed in our very fanciest clothes, and we propped up a sign that said lemonade 1 cent. Jessica's job was to run up to everybody she saw and ask them if they wanted a drink. Mine was to pour the lemonade and collect the penny. Jessica was a very tiny 5-year-old with wiry hair that looked like she had been sitting on an electric current. Her eyes were as blue as the summer sky, and she had a very high, squeaky voice. She was adorable, and nobody could resist her. I, on the other hand, had limp, wispy hair, a potbelly, and bad breath. That's why I was the one who poured. Don't say anything to anyone, Lynn Ruth warned my mother. Just look away from the customer and say thank you. That'll be a penny. Since we knew everybody on the block, sales were a shoo-in. Mr. Oberlin bought a glass for himself and 1 for his son Philip after Jessica asked him if he loved her. Mrs. Kaminsky took a glass for herself and 1 for her new baby. Where's your new baby? I asked, carefully aiming my breath away from her and toward the glass. In my tummy, she said. I'm very thirsty. Pregnancy does that to you. What is pregnancy? Asked Jessica. It was Mary Kaplan that tested our entrepreneurial talents to the limit. She hugged Jessica, and I poured her a glass of lemonade. That'll be a penny, please, I said, and she shook her head. I don't have any money, she said, but you can pet Zeke. What a dilemma. Zeke was her wonderful collie, and I loved him with all my heart, and so did Jessica. But we really wanted to be able to buy an ice cream cone at Uncle Harry's drugstore, so I took a deep breath and I thought, well, all right, I said, if Jessica can hug him too. What's a hug? Asked Jessica. What you do when your mother gives you a candy bar, I explained. Okay, said Jessica, but who gets the penny? By this time, Mary had finished her lemonade and disappeared into her house. No one does, I said. We were bamboozled. What's bamboozled? Said Jessica. Can you imagine how dreadful it would have been for us if some official fined us for trying to make people forget about the war? And as it was, we only made enough money for 1 ice cream cone, but we shared it and we discussed our wonderful day. When do I get to pet Zeke? Asked Jessica. Why do you ask so many questions? I said.